Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'd say happy Friday, but in consideration of everything that's happening everywhere in the world right now, I know we're not happy. We're distressed. We're angry. We're pissed. But most of all, we are resolved to actually do something. But I got to tell you, we are sitting here, and I'm sitting right here in DC, and we're all in the fight. I know each of you are in the fight as well. We are hopeful and energized for two really important reasons. One, we have incredible servant leaders, incredible veteran leaders on the Democratic side right now who are digging deep and are in the fight. Two of those folks will be here today with us, Senator Kaine and Senator Gallego. Unfortunately, Senator Kaine is having some technical issues, which we are resolving right now. But these folks, what they are doing right now, Senator Kaine is a fantastic example. They are calling out this administration for engaging in unconstitutional warfare. It does not take a PhD constitutional scholar to acknowledge and understand the fact that there is only one body in the United States that has the capacity, the obligation, and the legal authority to declare war, and that is Congress. That is clear as day in the Constitution. And everyone wants to talk as if Venezuela was not that. Well, let's break this down for a second. Using the administration's own words, they blew up 35 boats off the coast of Venezuela over the time of multiple months. Donald Trump's own White House chief of staff said that that was an effort to intimidate Maduro. It was an act of war. They then threatened a blockade, yet another act of war. And then what did they do? 150 varied sorties, bombings of Venezuela, special forces action to extricate Maduro out of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a conversation about the legitimacy of Maduro and about whether or not he was a moral leader. This is a question of whether or not in the United States of America, unconstitutional warfare is okay. Because if we're saying it is, then we're saying we're fine with the king, and we all know that we are not. You know, I served in Afghanistan. I'm a veteran of the Army. When you sign on that dotted line, when any veteran signs on that dotted line, they make a point that they will make the ultimate sacrifice for this country. And they swear an oath not to a king, not to a president, not to a political party, but to the Constitution, to a set of laws, to a set of ideals, to a set of principles. What is written in that document matters. And we can't just watch this president walk all over it. So why are we optimistic? Because Senator Kaine is bringing a vote to the Senate, forcing a vote in the Senate, which will declare whether or not this war is actually authorized by Congress. And what do you know? Republicans are signing on to allow it to come to the floor. That's a big deal. That's a big deal because it's showing that Donald Trump is growing weaker. It's showing that we don't have a king in the United States of America, that we will not stand for one here in this great country. Now, we also have Senator Gallego joining us very shortly. He's an incredible leader, incredible veteran, saw the toughest of combat in Iraq. I consider him a real friend. And he's doing something just as important right now, and that is forcing a vote in the Senate to make sure that there is no authorization, that there is no permission for this president to go invade Greenland, that we're just not going to engage in imperialistic activity all around the world. And I'll tell you what I appreciate about what Senator Gallego is doing as well. He's not just talking about the Constitution, as important as it is. He's bringing it back to his service and the incredible, tragic sacrifice that he witnessed of people as close to him as possible in Iraq, in a war that should have never been fought. We can't let that happen again. We can't allow for an Iraq 2.0 anywhere in the world, particularly if Congress is not involved in the decision-making process, particularly. But I'll tell you what else Senator Gallego is doing that is so impactful right now. He is bringing it back to the core issue of affordability. They're spending money on bombs. They're spending money on ships. They're spending time and resources focused on this imperialistic activity overseas, the only beneficiary of which are their billionaire friends and the largest corporations amongst us. What they're not spending time on is lowering people's healthcare costs. What they're not spending time on is doing anything to help people's lives. So I'm going to close out with this. We just got word that Senator Gallego is arriving in one to two minutes. You know, this president, Donald Trump, ran on ending forever wars, right? That's what he promised. He said, I'm going to focus on affordability. He's a liar. He's corrupt. Cares about one thing: patting his own pocket, patting his family's pocket, and patting the pockets of those who are the wealthiest amongst us. And they're willing to risk soldiers' lives and desecrate our Constitution in pursuit of that. And we will not stand for that in the United States of America. So God bless each and every one of you. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Thank you so much for being in the fight with us. And I'm just honored that we have some incredible leaders now. JJ, I'm going to kick it over to you if Senator Kaine is available, Senator Gallego, whatever we have. Senator.
Hey guys, Senator Kaine here. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Excellent. Hey, listen, Max, your leadership really, really means a lot. And I want to thank VoteVets for inviting me and a real American hero, Ruben Gallego, a great friend, on today. Let me start with a thanks. Some of you know that at the end of last year in the defense bill, Todd Young and I were able to work to get the Iraq war authorizations repealed, finally ending that long chapter of American life. And VoteVets was key to this. We had tried to do this for years. We'd get it through one house, not the other. We'd get it through a committee, but not off the floor. But now the Iraq war authorizations of 1991 and 2002 are both repealed. VoteVets was enormously helpful. We're having a reception on Capitol Hill on Tuesday, January 13, from 5 to 6:30 to celebrate the first time Congress has repealed a war authorization since the Gulf of Tonkin resolution was repealed more than 50 years ago. So thank you for that. But secondly, as Max discussed, I have been, since I came into the Senate in 2013, an absolute obsessive purist about war powers and that we shouldn't be at war without a vote of Congress. I applied the same standard, whether it was President Obama wanting to initiate military action in Syria, President Trump wanting to go to war with Iran, President Biden, now President Trump. And we achieved a big victory yesterday in the Senate by getting every Democrat and 5 Republicans to finally say to this president, your desire to wage war anywhere in the world without coming to Congress, that time is over. And we're going to take this military campaign against Venezuelans, first in open waters and now on land. We're going to take it from the skiff, hidden from the American public, and we're going to put it on the floor of the United States Senate. Technically, my motion was a war powers resolution to stop military action within or against Venezuela without a vote of Congress. The first vote was a vote to discharge my bill from the committee, where Republican leaders had hidden it and would never hold a hearing on it, would never hold a vote on it. We got it discharged from committee, so it is now the pending business of the Senate. And after 4 months, dozens of strikes, a land invasion, the death of 200 Venezuelans, the injury of American troops in combat, some still hospitalized, and a plan by the administration to essentially run Venezuela, its economy, its politics, its elections for years. We're now going to have a debate about that on the floor of the Senate next week. And I will work with all of my colleagues to make sure that we don't send kids into harm's way without Congress saying it's a mission that's worth it. In this particular case, I don't think President Trump's global mission to seize Venezuelan oil and run the Venezuelan economy and decide who is the Venezuelan interim government and decide when Venezuelans can hold elections again, all policed by the United States with a military blockade and military action. I don't think that use of the US military is a good idea. And that's the way I would vote. Some of my colleagues might feel differently. They may be willing to vote for it. But what none of the 100 senators should do is let President Trump act on his own. 5 Republicans joined the Democrats yesterday. Senators Paul and Murkowski and Collins, Senator Hawley and Senator Young, to say that this is a debate that's about matters big enough that it ought to take place on the floor of the US Senate. And it's a measure of President Trump's dictatorial tendencies that merely for voting that this is a matter that should be discussed publicly by the Senate, the president is now pledged to do anything he can to defeat the Republicans who voted for public debate and said they're no longer fit to hold office. That's what tyrants do. J.D. Vance, who has tyrannical tendencies, said the War Powers Resolution is a fake and unconstitutional law. Tyrants don't want to be accountable. Tyrants don't want to have public scrutiny of their actions. But now the Senate has decided we're not going to knuckle under to tyrants, especially on something as important as matters of war. I'm not a veteran like my colleague Ruben, but I do have a kid who's a Marine. And I feel about this very strongly in the way that any parent would feel that our kids shouldn't be sent into war unless there's a public debate and vote that it's in the national interest to do so. So to everybody at VoteVets, thank you. We'll need you next week. We're going to celebrate you on Tuesday night because of your work in helping us repeal the Iraq War authorization. But then we'll be in a debate on the floor, probably beginning Wednesday, with a motion to proceed to have this debate about Venezuela. And we'll need you going forward. And then we're going to file war powers resolutions to block the president from his expansionistic military tendencies and the threats he's made to Cuba, Mexico, Nigeria, Greenland and Denmark and Colombia. So stay tuned. We got a lot of action coming, and my colleague Ruben Gallego is playing a key role in putting the human consequences and costs of ill-considered wars before the body. With that, thanks to VoteVets, and I hope I might see a number of you at the reception on Capitol Hill next Tuesday night.
Amazing. Senator, thank you so much for your leadership, and for honoring the Constitution and the incredible sacrifice that our veterans, most especially our fallen, have made. So thank you, sir, on behalf of all of VoteVets. I believe we have our friend Senator Gallego here, so I hope we do.
Yeah,
there you
I'm
go.
here. Can you guys got me?
We got you. It's great to see you.
All
Thanks
right.
for everything you're doing. Over to you, Ruben.
Well, thank you, and coming to you from Arizona. Also, thank you, Tim Kaine, for really being a leader and a moral leader in the Senate. I almost said House, sorry, forgot my promotion. We really have been lucky that Tim Kaine has really been taking the charge of this. It has made the Senate stronger, the country stronger, and really made the Republicans actually, think about the amount of power they're giving to this guy. I think it's ironic, but also probably somewhat fortuitous that I'm with VoteVets at this point, because VoteVets came around from essentially a very stupid illegal war. Like many of you, I served in the Iraq War in 2005 as an infantryman. I saw my men, my Marines I served with, best friends die for an illegal war that we were lied into, one that was primarily motivated by oil. And I was just remarking to one of my young staffers in the car recently, I'm so old that this is the third war for oil that I have seen. And let's be clear, that's exactly what's happening. That's the president has said. We are now using oil to control Venezuela as if we're a colonial power from the 1890s. And it's a sad statement that we're going to be putting our men and women in harm's way, essentially to only have the oil companies benefit, while there's just so much more that we should be focusing on right now. We need to be focusing on the economy, on housing, on education. We don't need another war. The American public does not want another war. And it doesn't matter where you look at different parts of the spectrum. They do not want to see our men and women going to war in Venezuela. And largely, we also don't want to see ourselves involved in Greenland. Greenland is a territory that belongs to the Kingdom of Denmark. They are our NATO partners. For per capita, the only country that had more men killed in defense of the United States after 9/11 was Denmark. We have bases in Greenland right now. There is no reason on God's green earth that we should be demanding that land when we could easily have access to Greenland to build more forts, Army said there, to build more bases that we need to bring the security that ostensibly this is what the president wants. But more importantly, what the president is doing is dangerous to the country in terms of its all of its national security alliances. Around the world, people are trying to figure out how to balance against the United States, not how to ally with the United States. They're trying to figure out if they're going to have to find a new friend, and sometimes that friend may end up being Russia or China. We have our European ally partners that are coming up with contingency plans in case we do invade Greenland, and the Danish government has ordered its men to shoot without questions should we try to invade. The fact that these are conversations that are happening, it tells you how low this president has caused this country's esteem to fall with all of our ally partners, how dangerous it is to our men and women. And this is why I introduced a couple measures to try to pen these guys in. Step one, introducing an amendment to the defense appropriations. You cannot use any taxpayer dollar to invade and occupy Greenland. Step two, a war powers resolution to stop also again an invasion of Greenland. A sense of Congress that says that we do not support, sense of the Senate that we do not support the invasion of Greenland. These are the things that we have to do, and we have to do it to save an ally, something that we never would have imagined before. We are just uncharted times. It's time for us to really understand the danger of what's happening with this presidency. It has nothing to do with national security. He just has it in his small little brain that Greenland would look great as part of the United States because it's such a big, big island. And that's not worth us losing generational allies, putting our national security at risk, and putting our men and women at risk for his small little ego. So thank you, everything that you guys have done, VoteVets, to really stay on the front of this when it comes to war powers, when it comes to limiting government, getting us involved in really dumb wars. Since my time starting as a volunteer with VoteVets in 2006, you guys have always led from the heart, led for the front. And, because of that, the military is better off, our national security is better off, and we as a country are better off. And I can't wait to see you guys again pretty soon. And please help me out with these initiatives that I'm doing to try to prevent us from having such an aggressive action on Greenland. Tell your friends, your congressmen for the House versions of this. Tell any senators that you have any ability to reach out to, especially on the public side, to join us on this. It is a bipartisan bill so far, at least on the war powers resolution, where we worked with Senator Lisa Murkowski from Alaska to get the language right. And it is a bipartisan effort that we're trying to make sure that the president understands. So please talk to your Republican friends, your colleagues, whoever you can, to tell them to come out and support this, because it's another way for us to stop again, us from finding ourselves in another stupid war of choice. Thanks.
Hey, Senator, thank you.
And I have no idea what I'm doing next, Max. Am I turning this back to you?
Yeah, you're turning it back to me. It's all good. Look, I'm going to take one point of privilege just to say something about Senator Gallego. I mentioned, I'm not sure if you caught it in my introduction of you or my reference to you, that this is one vet to another. You saw real combat in the harshest of circumstances, and you've spoken really poignantly about your memory of that, and your memory of the guys you served with, but never once have you used your own combat experience to pound your chest and justify something else, more foreign wars and all the rest. You've always used it to talk about the right thing in a really humble manner. So thank you on behalf of all of us. Ladies and
No, I
gentlemen, we just want to
appreciate it.
mention one last thing here. What you got? What do you have, Senator?
No, I was just saying goodbye. And like, I think, for all of us that have seen combat, there's nothing glorious about war, and I will always do whatever I can to defend my country, including going to war. But there's nothing that I would rather do more than avoid war and still protect my country. Thank y'all. Have a good one.
Amen. Amen. And just to close this out, folks, we have a VoteVets petition going out to each and every one of you. Please sign on to say no to new forever wars, no to this president's effort at unconstitutional, imperialistic activity everywhere. No more forever wars in this country. No more forever wars led by the United States of America. Thank you so much. God bless our men and women in uniform. God bless the United States of America. And thank you so much for your service.